Thank you all for tuning in. This is Selena and
Iman.
Together we make you plus happy. Each week we bring you someone who challenges us to define success and happiness on our own terms with a dose of laughter.
Remember to like and subscribe at You Plus Happy Podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy. Hey, Selena.
Hi.
Yeah.
It's been a long.
It has been a while. I'm happy to be back.
Me too. I'm so happy.
Yes. You did a little hiatus.
Yes.
But how was your time off?
Oh, the hiatus. It's been really good. You know what? It was the summer, things were kind of open, so it was good. But recently I was thinking, you have to fight for happiness. One day I was like upset, so I tried all this different stuff. We mentioned a little bit of this in the show today, but I was trying to have a dance party. I was listening to Beyonce. I was doing this, that. It wasn't working. I went for a jog, nothing worked. And I went down my happy list. I was like, something has to give here. So I called a friend and they talked me off the proverbial ledge, not the real one. So and it was very, very helpful. And in those moments, it was just a good reminder, like we have people in our corner and remember to reach out. I know we don't want to be like Debbie Downers, but I really needed my friend's help at that time. And so I had to fight for it because I was sinking lower and lower. Like, you have one thought and then it's like a domino effect. Next thing you know, like my life is crap. And so I had to like really turn it around and take responsibility for my happiness. Yeah. So just fight for it. You plus happy. Hey, what about you, Iman?
You're feeling better now.
Yes. But life comes at you fast. Sometimes things happen. Okay? We all know that now. What about you in our little hiatus?
I feel like a lot has happened, right. But I guess the thing that sticks out the most, which I've already told you, but I've made the decision to stay in Australia longer, and I've gotten my visa extended at my job. So I'm excited about that, to have that option. I was coming up to my 2-year mark of having to come back home and make that decision. And there's still so much I want to see and do and people I want to visit. So I'm going to stay a bit longer. I haven't decided how long, but I have at least 2 years that I can stay.
I feel like enough is enough. You've seen it. You saw Australia. It's over.
I haven't though. It has seven states and I've only been to 3. Still so much I need to explore.
I'm over it.
And don't you want to come visit?
What?
And you want to come visit, right? I want to be here long enough for people to come visit and I can show them.
I don't know how long that's going to be, honey. We could all visit together because you know the layout of the land. We allowed you to go and now it's over.
I mean, now. All right. So yeah, I'll be here for at least another year and a half.
I'm trying to fake being happy for you. Now I got to call another friend to deal with you staying in Australia. Just kidding. I'm glad you made a decision and I hope it makes you happy at least, because it doesn't make anyone else happy over here in the States.
Talk about supportive friends. Gee.
Honest friends. I'm sorry I miss you. I haven't seen you in person. You could be a robot or something at this point.
Yes, that's likely. I do miss you and I miss being home in LA, but yeah, there's still a lot.
Australia over me. It's fine. Anyway, just kidding. I'm just kidding. I mean, I am happy for you.
So everyone that's watching can see Selena's facial expressions.
I was happy at first, but now it's like, come on, I've been through so much in these last 2 years. We all have. Sick of it.
Um,
I'm just kidding. I'll deal with it just like I did before. Anyway,
Thank you. Thank you.
who do we have on the show this week?
All right, so this week we have Maleta Wilson on the show. Maleta is a 32-year-old social worker from California. She was born in San Francisco Bay Area and relocated to LA at 18 for college. She attended California State Polytechnic University in Pomona and obtained her bachelor's in behavioral science before completing her master's in social work at the University of Southern California. Maleta has had several positions within social work, including a mental health therapist, child protection practitioner. She is currently living in Victoria, Australia. She's out here with me and making her international dreams come true. Maleta is all about positivity and good vibes, which is something we all need in the world today. Sending love and light. Welcome, Maleta.
Yes.
Maleta, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey. This is my friend Selena. Selena's Maleta.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you. So
I was
it's nice
gonna say the same thing. All good
Oh.
things.
Oh my God, you as well. And I'm so thank you so much for having me on because I've been a fan since you started, and it's just such a cool piece to be a part of this podcast. What an awesome thing you guys are doing.
Thanks, girl. You look cute.
Oh, thank you, girl.
All right, so just the first question is, how did you get started with social work?
How I got started with social work. So this was kind of like a long time coming. Back when I was in high school, I had an interest for autism and working with people with autism. And I had a neighbor who was autistic, and just speaking with him and learning about him was a bit interesting to me. So I found my way into working with young people with developmental delays and special needs, and specifying in autism. And so that was like my early days of just kind of being in a helping profession. I think I always knew I wanted to be in a helping profession. And just when I was in my undergraduate university at Cal Poly Pomona, I was working within the Violence Prevention and Women's Resource Center, which was like a rape crisis center on campus. So starting to learn about women's the specific issues mainly facing women, domestic violence and things like that, even within a college campus setting. And so I got interested in that, and I started to find that a lot of the things that I was interested working with underdeveloped populations, working with women, working with people of color, were all falling within this idea of social work. I was majoring in behavioral sciences at Cal Poly Pomona. And so I was thinking, okay, am I going to do psychology? But part of that major was also working in sociology. It was kind of a mix. And so I decided I wanted to go more into social work because it was really encompassing all the things that I wanted to do and I had interest for. And I'm so blessed that social work is so diverse. You can do so many things with that same degree or career path. You could do a million things being a social worker. So I really feel like I found the right career path for me, and my interests are still changing and evolving to this day, but I still feel like I could still find something within social work to make it work. And so yeah, we'll see what happens next within it, but I really do love social work.
I love that. It's crazy. This is a little bit of a side note, but I'm like, I love this platform because I'm like, I've known you for almost 2 years now, and I didn't know that was how you got into the field. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's important. You made a point of like, it's so diverse. Social work is so diverse. And I didn't know that. When I think of social workers, I mean, I guess it shows like how small my like perspective is. I only think about schools and kids and like, you know.
Yeah. When I was doing school, within school at University of Southern California, I was really targeting like clinical social work and mental health. And that's still something where I think my heart really lies and my passion really lies. So I was working to be a licensed clinical social worker, things like that. But here now I'm working in such a different field, such a different capacity of social work. And I think a lot of people, I'm a child protection social worker now. And I think a lot of people think that that's all social workers do is child protection. And I know that when I was, starting to learn about the field of social work long ago, I was shocked to find out. I was like, wait, you guys do more than just child protection or Department of Child and Family Services, I think it's called in California. And so I'm really lucky. We all are lucky in social work that you can change up your target or your interest in what you want to do so often within the field.
Yeah.
Was there ever a turning point where you realized you needed to take a different path than what was expected of you? I know it's
I would say this most recent journey that I've been on, that Iman is on with me, has been kind of a turning point because I, throughout especially like my later 20s, I was starting to travel more and have a passion for travel. And I was working as a social worker, as a mental health clinician within LA. And so just kind of figuring my way with that, but also wanting to see the world, wanting to travel more. And of course, you can make it work with both. People work their jobs and wherever they are and travel the world. But then this opportunity presented itself to work in Australia. And it was to work in Australia as a social worker. However, as a child protection social worker, which was never really the kind of social worker that I wanted to be. I was geared towards mental health and being a clinician. And so that was definitely a turning point and like where I was going in my social work career. Because if you would have asked me when I was graduating in 2016 with my master's, like, do you think you'll ever be a child protection social worker? I would have been like, no way. This is not what I want to do. This is not I think where my heart is and all of that. And then fast forward, 3 years later in 2019, and it was an opportunity to see the world, travel, the things that I wanted to do, but then also within this social work that I never thought I'd have an opportunity to do this career abroad, but then as a part of it that I never really saw myself having an interest in. And so that was certainly a turning point that I was like, okay, are you gonna make it all work? You can't have everything you want. And that's like always something that I remind myself is like, you can't have it all ways, but you're going to find a way to make it work. And I'm so happy that I have, because it's been such a beautiful experience so far that we're on in such a journey. But that was certainly a turning point and a leap of faith. And I think we're still remaining faithful with the whole situation that's followed with the pandemic that we were not expecting when we moved here. So, just kind of taking leaps of faith within things that are, relevant to your life, I suppose, and finding a way to make it work. And it's kind of how I've lived my life, I think. Lots of things, but I'm not sure it's going to work, but let's see what happens.
What I hear too is like staying open, like, because you could have been shut yourself off, like I don't want to work in that part of it, and then shut yourself off from this opportunity and not travel and go to Australia. Like if you would have been so stuck in your ways.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm so glad you took that leap of faith too, because it's been great to have you on this journey.
Thank you. It wouldn't be the same definitely without the program that I had and Iman and the other ladies that I've been here with. We are I think like they're my heart and my backbone here, because we are isolated here as Americans within this pandemic and not being able to come home and not being able to have people come here. So it's what a journey it's been.
Yes. I guess on the journey, what has been some of your challenges and how did you push through them?
Well, certainly, I think something we learned, I think, what was it in our motivational interviewing training back in grad school, and we were learning that was something rolling with resistance and rolling with like kind of rolling with whatever flow is going, like you can't control everything. And so just kind of rolling with how it is. And that's been something that I think we've all just had to, everyone in the world has had to learn to do. All of this situation has been so out of our control within the last year and a half with COVID. And so I was just thinking back of how I planned this whole journey. I was going to go, and 5 months later, I was going to come home and had my friend's wedding, and I was going to see my family and all my friends, and that was going to recharge me to then come and do the rest of this time here. And then having to push through that, and it's been so unpredictable, and we didn't know, like, okay, is it going to be different in 2021? Now is it going to be different in 2022? But not being able to do the things and have the people and the support, my family and friends from home, has been really difficult. And not only mentioning that, but also coming into a really tough job and a really tough industry that's been very emotionally taxing, and just such an emotional roller coaster, I think, in general, while not having that support network that I usually lean on, has been something that's been really, really difficult. But again, I am so lucky with the people that I do have in my life here that make me feel the love and the support that I need. And I'm still getting that. If I didn't have FaceTime, I didn't have, like things like this, Zoom and things to video chats, I probably already would have been home by now. And I always tell my parents that I was like, if we couldn't do this, I would probably have come home already, because it's so, at least I get to see my family and friends and meet new people, Selena, and gain a new social network. Even here in Australia, we're distant from Melbourne, and having to Zoom people there and FaceTime people, and it makes a big difference to kind of see the people that you're with and have this connection. But that's been I'm such a people person and a hugger, and I love on people, and so that's so hard to not do that now.
Yeah, the Zoom is super helpful, and I am going to meet some people that I've only met through Zoom. And I've been Zooming with them, I guess, for a year. And I'm like, how do I act around humans? Like, all I know is this box. And I'm like, oh my God, what does everyone look like for real? Like, it's just, I don't know. I was like, if I'm awkward, y'all, I'm sorry. I've been sitting behind a computer for a year.
Moments. We love it. We're here for it. But it's definitely, like, it's cool that you have those relationships that you made already for a year just through Zoom.
Yeah. It's like I try to look at the pros and cons with things, and that's one of the pros, like that technology is so advanced now. If this had happened 10 years ago, we would have been dialing up or like
sending letters.
Sending letters. I forgot about letters.
Carrier pigeons, like,
right. And from Australia, I don't know if that little pigeon could have made it. So, like, our podcast is about success, but I think on that journey to success, we need to talk about failures too, because they're going to happen. They're inevitable. So when's the time you felt like you failed, and how did you deal with it?
It wasn't necessarily like a failure, but I was applying to grad school at USC to do my master's in social work. And it was already kind of just like a leap of faith. That was my, what was it called? Like your ideal school, like this is where I want to go, my dream school. And dream program, this is what I wanted to do. And I remember I got put on the wait list. And I was just kind of like, okay, like that's not a no, but it's not a yes. And whatever happens, like maybe this is just, God's way of telling me not now, like keep trying again. So I was already like making plans for like, if this doesn't happen, what's next? What are you going to do? And then you'll reapply or something. And then I will never forget this day. I don't even remember what day it was, but I would never forget the time, like where I was when I got a call. I was at my job. I was still working at my undergraduate university for a year after I graduated. And I got a call from USC, and it was like, you're in, you're off the wait list, you're in. And I was like, oh my God. So I was so excited. But then all the like anxiety set in, because I was like, oh my God, USC is so expensive. USC is so expensive. my parents had paid for my whole undergraduate university, so I knew that this was like on me, which I was so appreciative. I was like, that's okay. I will take on the burden of the financial, stressors of grad school because you guys already paid that. But then it was like, oh my gosh, USC is so expensive. And so I started to have like several panic attacks about like, how are you going to finance this? Also knowing that the social work program required you to do internships, so not really working, and all of that. So all of this was going on through my head, and I was kind of just trying to figure things out. And then I got an opportunity to go to New York for a summer to do a summer program, which was just such a cool, it was a summer program through NYU, working there. And that was such a cool program, such a blessing, because I got to see New York in such a cool way. And through that program, I got an opportunity to move to New York for the next year, and work there, actually as a live-in nanny and au pair. And so I was doing that as a way to just stack some cash, make money, while also still having this experience to, at that time where I was just beginning to travel, I was like, oh my gosh, living in New York, that's traveling. This is cool to live in a different place. This is so cool. And also make some money. I was living for free with the family. So I chose to do that, but in choosing to do that, I had to defer my acceptance to USC. And so it was all just kind of like, oh my gosh, all these opportunities are happening, but I'm having to kind of rearrange them and let go of this opportunity USC, which was such a gamble, to be honest, because I, and deferring my acceptance, it was almost like saying, you may not get that acceptance back. And so I had to write, letter and all this stuff, and or an essay, statement of purpose, or again stating why I was doing this and all this stuff. And so I was really honest just about the financial burdens and really needing this opportunity to make some money for myself before I came back to grad school. And so I deferred my acceptance, was living in New York, having honestly the time of my life. And it was so much fun to live there, have that experience. And also, yeah, what a time, my goodness. And that was my first living somewhere else opportunity, other than, I was living in the Bay Area to LA, but then living in New York was across the country. And so that was my first experience doing that. And then while I was in New York during that year, got the second acceptance letter. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's all happening. It's all I took that, again, this leap of faith, and then kind of everything just fell into place. And then I'm so lucky that it did still. And so then I was able to make that money, and then move back to Los Angeles the next summer before school started, and then start at USC. So that was a whole really big emotional roller coaster, because I was letting go of so much. And it wasn't that I felt like I failed, but it was definitely a, girl, you wanted to go to USC for so long, you were waitlisted, you got in, and then now you're doing this whole deferring your acceptance, and that's a big gamble. And so I was not feeling like I failed myself, but definitely feeling girl, are you sure this is what you need to be doing? But again, it was you don't really have any other option, because you're freaking out about the financial aspect of this. You had a really cool opportunity and experience to live in New York. And then, all of it happened. So that was, I think, somewhere where I was just it was very stressful, while it was also a really good experience, but just very stressful. And that was, wondering if I was failing myself, but I'm so happy it all worked out.
What would you say is because it sounds like there was a lot of just going for it and seeing where the chips fall. What was kind of your biggest takeaway from that experience?
Again, I had so much fun. And I think that, Iman, my life is all about fun.
It is.
And not only within that fun, but then also learning a lot about myself. And I think that I needed that time. I really did need that time to experience somewhere different, to learn about myself. I will always say I love walking now. Iman knows I walk all over where we live and I don't have a car, I will just walk. And I'm always like, New York taught me, because I was walking like all over that city, like by myself, just kind of navigating the city with my, my maps on my phone, and like just learning about the subway and stuff. And so that really like taught me to like, you can do things by yourself. You're okay with doing things by yourself. You're okay with exploring by yourself, and seeing like the world. I feel like I could solo travel kind of thing. But I love company and I love doing things with people. But I also learned just a lot about independence and doing things on my own. And I think I needed that time. And so that really was like a balance for me. Like while I was kind of taking a risk, seeing where the chips fell, I needed that time. And looking back, it was just kind of like, that was something that was so necessary. And so, a lot of times when I've just kind of thrown the chips out there and see where things fall, it's been like a really necessary experience, and it's led to something really great. So yeah, I encourage everyone to do that. Sometimes just kind of see, you got to take that leap of faith. And a lot of my things that have happened to me, I'm kind of like, this is an idea. I don't know where it's going to lead. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but where there's a will, there's a way, and I'm going to make it work. And I always seem to make it work.
Yeah, it sounds like being open again to that experience. And then it sounds like New York, living there was like the setup for you to start traveling more. And I don't think without New York, I don't think Australia would have happened, because that was like, you know what I mean? It's like you have to get your feet wet, even though moving across the country is like jumping in the pool, I think. But it's like you have to get that first step done, and then you want more and more. It sounds like that's what New York was for you.
Yeah, totally. It was just, my parents would always say, okay, you're going to college in LA, that's just close enough, like, and whatever. And then I was moving across the states, and they were like, that's far, but like, that's just close enough. Like, if something is happening, like, but I think Australia has definitely been the one where they're like, girl, you are across the world. And I'm like, listen, I did this in New York, we can make it work. But it's like, yeah, every experience that I've had is kind of built on the last one, or been like a stepping stone for all the next experience. And so, yeah, New York wouldn't have happened, or if New York wouldn't have happened, I'm not sure that Australia would have been such an easy decision.
Yeah. And it's like, you want more. Once you get a taste of that, it's like, I don't want to go back now. Like, what else is there? It's like, you can't stop. So shifting gears a lot. This is a whole nother subject. What is something you hope people say about you when you're not in the room?
Okay. I hope people say, there's kind of the thing about like, okay, people won't always like remember like what you said or something, but they'll remember how they made you feel. And I hope that my energy is just really like positive, really good energy. Like just really happy vibe. And I hope that translates into like what people would say or think about me. Is I mean, it's not always like sunny days or whatever, but I definitely hope people feel a warmness around me or something, because that's what I try to radiate out.
I'm sure you do. Go ahead, Iman. Say she does.
You do. I can confirm it. I've been in the room with you. So I guess just what's been your biggest like motivation up until this point, like to keep you going?
My parents are a big motivation for me. I think they've given me so many experiences and so much, they've sacrificed so much to give me what I have. And so they're a big motivating force. And then also they've motivated me in like, I think what I'm doing. My mom, when she was adopted. And so I think that was kind of a somehow motivating force intrinsically, like inside, to like start social work and to be a social worker, even working within the field that I'm in now. And my dad is like so optimistic and so like just positive about life, even when things are hard and even when things are down. And so they are so like motivating me to like live freely, and they also like raised my sister and I to be like independent women. And so I'm just kind of like, yes, like let me just be out here living life optimistically, looking on the bright side of things, and like helping people, because my parents also are, you know, just such great people. So they're definitely my motivation. And getting older now, I'm like seeing the sacrifices they made and how I want to like continue to take care of them and stuff. So yeah.
You said your dad's super optimistic. Was he optimistic about the pandemic? And if so, what did he say? So for everyone listening, a bright side.
I mean, yeah, we've been as optimistic as we can. Actually, my Iman knows my dad came with me to Australia just to drop me off, and we had like a little father-daughter trip. It was so much fun until it wasn't. Iman, he got on my nerves at the end, and I was like, Dad, it's time to go. But like we had such a good time. He's the best. And who would have thought, like we always say, like, Dad, who would have thought that would have been like I'm so glad that he at least came and saw Australia and did that with me, because who would have thought? But we've been trying to be as optimistic as possible. And my dad is always just kind of like, you know, better days will come. This too shall pass. Like we need to just kind of continue thinking positively. But I think, you know, even for the most optimistic people, this pandemic has like rocked their optimism and been like, woof, this is something that, you know, we're still dealing with, still so unsure about. And you know, how do you stay optimistic within this? But I try to just my dad is really like he's been the person, like, I may not have the most money, but I'm wealthy and rich in love. And I think that the things that, you know, still remaining having that positivity and that love, you know, however it's shown to you from those around you, is something that's key within this pandemic, because we all are so, you know, alone and dealing with this, you know, so siloed and like by ourselves. But if you're still, you know, telling those around you that you love them, and still, you know, talking to the people that you care about, if you can, like through social media, through Zoom, through phone, you know, whatever, that's been so good. And so I think my dad's always just like, he recharges me. Like whenever I talk with him, it's just kind of like a recharge. And I'm always just kind of like, oh, that's, you know, so even from so far away, like, and see, this is the kind of thing that I want people to be saying about me when I'm not in the room, like these kind of things. My dad is just he's a Libra, and I think he's such a balancing force in my life, you know, like the really, so yeah, such a good guy. Love you, Daddy.
Shout out to Dad.
Shout out to Dad.
Yeah, it's so important to, just as you were talking, it's so important to have those people in your life that you can go to just to get that recharge. Because I know that there's certain people, as much as I love them, like conversations can be very draining. So like having those people that you can be like, all right, I know after this conversation, I'm going to feel lighter. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to feel like I'm in a better space.
Yeah. We need each other. Like, can't make it by ourselves. So shifting gears a little bit again. So they say your inner circle is super important. Like we said, we need each other. But what are the qualities that the people in your circle have to have, or they're out?
The ability to have what?
So you have such a diverse circle, I feel like.
I do have a good circle, but you know what? Something that I feel like my circle has, everyone has to have the ability to have a good kiki and a good laugh, because I feel like laughter is medicine, like in like such, you know, kind of like soul quenching, like thirst kind of medicine. And so I do have such a diverse group of friends, but one thing I can guarantee is that whoever I'm with, I've had a good, you know, laugh with, or we're able to have jokes, or we're always saying in Australia, like good banter. And so just like, you know, I think I am a very upbeat person. Iman knows I'm very like upbeat, very lively, very fun. Hopefully people think I'm fun, but I know I'm having fun. And so I think, yeah, that's something that it's important that the people that are in my close circle, we can have, laughter or, jokes, even when things are hard. Sometimes it's like, I'm always like, guys, we need to just laugh it off to keep from crying because this stuff is getting serious. Or like our work is sometimes really intense and really serious. And so it's like, guys, sometimes we just need to have a joke about something because this is, to like comedic relief is necessary. So yeah, laughter is good and laughter is important in my close friendships.
Yeah.
Nice.
What would you say is your, like, the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Let me see. I like wrote some things down. So I was like, this is a question that we're going to come to. My dad is like the king of like zingers and one-liners and just all these little things and stuff. But he sometimes we would say like, you have to be your own biggest fan and like your own cheerleader, because if you won't, who will? And I've kind of always been that, like, you know what I mean? Like believing that I can do something, even like because we all have our own critic and self-critic and like, things in our head telling us that we can't. And from working in the mental health field, I've learned some people's, inner critic is much stronger than others even. So it's not that everyone can just be like their own biggest cheerleader or like, even how they're trying to tell their self affirmations or things. That's not always working as easy as it is for me. And so I recognize that with others. But something for me is that you really do have to be in your own corner. And, if you're not going to be someone positive telling yourself like, you can do this and you can, sometimes you're not always sure how it's going to work, but like, give it a try and like, telling yourself that, then maybe there won't be anyone else, doing that for you. And so at least you can start with you and being there for yourself and being like a fan of yourself. Yeah. Be your own fan.
I love that.
I think that's such a good point. There is a quote I saw a couple of days ago, and I'm probably going to mess it up, but it was basically saying, like, treat yourself like someone you love. So I feel like we're really good at supporting our friends and having those words of encouragement, but sometimes not doing that for ourselves. So I think that's a really good point, because I know sometimes that negative thought happens, but I can give so much positivity to other people, but then I'm like, all right, Iman, you have to give that back to yourself. So good advice. Sure.
Yeah, I saw a quote. I saw it years ago, and then they just popped in my head. You know how it'll just pop in your head, like for no reason. And it was like, I will never betray you. Or like, I'll never betray myself. And I was like, I love that language of it. Like, because when you talk bad to yourself or you treat yourself like shit, we said we weren't going to cuss. That's like a betrayal to yourself. You're not honoring yourself. I think it's tricky too, because we know ourselves in and out, like stuff that no one else sees. And so it's easy to criticize ourselves because it's like, I don't see all you 24/7, so it's easy for me to boost you up. But if I saw you 24/7, I probably would say, like, oh, girl, that part. So I think that's what makes it challenging to be really kind to ourselves, because we know so much more than the average person knows about ourselves. But we just gotta be our own biggest cheerleader, biggest fan, and be in our own corner. I love that so much. It's a good reminder because we forget.
Yeah. Sure.
Like I mentioned before, our show is about success, but how do you define success, and when are you the happiest?
Ooh, okay. How do I define success? Success is kind of that's, subjective, isn't it? It means something different for everyone. And like some people measure it monetarily, some people measure it, with the amount of things that they have, people in their life. Especially nowadays, people are measuring it by the amount of likes and followers that they have and social media and everything. But success is when you're doing things that make you feel good. And I think it's a measure of like how it's making you feel. If it's making you feel good, wow, what a success that was. And yeah, I just a lot of even things that you might imagine like might be a success and then it doesn't make you feel so great. You're like, ooh, that wasn't so successful. And so I think it really is measuring like on like an emotional scale of like how are you feeling, and then that takes some you know, emotional intelligence and awareness to be like, how am I feeling right now? And so it goes, you may have the, you know, a job where you're making so much money and everything, but if it's making you feel really bad and it's not making you feel at your happiest, then is that really successful? Is that really success for you? And maybe, you know, redefining what that success is for you. So yeah, your own mental health, your own happiness and well-being is worth so much more than what people often classify as success. And so I would challenge people to think about like, you know, how is this really making you feel? And let that go into so many, how is this relationship making me feel? How is this work environment making me feel? How is, you know, anything in your life, you know, how is it making your insides feel gushy and mushy and like the good stuff that you want? Or that is success for me. And yeah, I often get that after Iman knows, after a shopping trip, going to the mall. And if it's a good shopping day and everything, I'm like, whoo, what a success. Oh my gosh, that was a success today. I'm feeling very accomplished. That was good. So, you know, it's that you can feel that kind of goodness, then what a success.
Are there other emotional indicators other than like, how can I explain it? Like just, are there, because some people, even in emotion like anger, even though we're not talking about anger, that I heard someone say, you know, they didn't know they were angry, but they'll feel it, their chest will feel heavy, or they'll be like shaken, but mentally, like they can't articulate that. So even, so if it makes you feel good, are there other indicators other than like, you know, like the obvious ones? Does that make sense? Am I saying anything? Like maybe some chills. I don't know. Chills might not be the right word, especially in this climate. But
Yeah. And that's a really good point, because it's like you're often talking about feelings, but especially if you're not good at talking about feelings and like your emotions and all of that, sometimes it's really like the and we learn this within like social work and everything and the clinical stuff, like the how is your body responding and how is your you know, your physical responses to things. And I think we talked about earlier, sometimes things are like a breath of fresh air. And so sometimes if I'm feeling like really like refreshed or something, or even just kind of like that burst of energy, natural energy, like that's something that's a success for, you know, myself. Often again, after a good shopping trip, it's like, oh, that was successful. That was, I'm feeling, you know, the serotonin and everything in your brain is like going, and this is good. But yeah, I think, what do you guys think make, like, how do you feel when you feel good? Like, do you know what I'm
So no,
describing?
with me, yeah, no, like with me, because now I understand it, but I want to say like a few years back, I would feel kind of like what Selena was saying, certain ways and not understand why. So what I started doing is I would start journaling. Like if I felt stress, like I would journal everything that happened that day. And I started to find patterns of like, these are the things that make me stressed. These are the things that made me happy. And I actually made, I like lists, you guys. So I made a list of all the things that made me happy. And whenever I felt the way that I felt when I was doing those things, that was kind of my measure of like, oh, okay, like this is bringing me happiness. This is bringing me joy in this moment. But I'm very like, I can be very logical. So for me, I was like, I need a list. I need like something to measure it against. But now I'm able to just recognize it like, okay, this is something that's bringing me a lot of peace in this moment.
so your happiness and joy feels like peace, like a calmness
Yep.
inside, internal.
And light, yeah.
That's
Like I don't
such an
feel like
Iman
I'm,
answer.
it is.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so like when I go, you know, I love the ocean. So if I go to the ocean, that's, if I get that same feeling from something else, I'm like, okay, like this is something that's bringing me joy. So,
Yeah. I'm trying to, it takes work, right? And like evaluating and taking some inventory. And like you said, you had to journal. So I'm still there, like trying to see how I feel when I do X, Y, Z, what that feels like. After I teach a class, I feel good because I feel like I might not feel so great before I go in. And that's, I'm just saying this as an example. And so when I leave, I feel energetic, elevated, um, like smiling, and I'm like, oh, like bouncing around. And that's to me, that's like one of the best feelings. And that's when I know whatever I just did was good for me and my spirit. And that's a big indicator. So yeah, and even like some people you talk to, rather than a breath of fresh air, I'll feel energized after the conversation, and I'll want to go do something else, and like it's contagious, and let it and go make someone else feel like that. So yeah, I think that's an important thing to like take a monitor your feelings. And because sometimes I'll get upset and I'm like, what happened? I don't know what happened today. And it can manifest in so many different ways. And it's not always intellectual. Like my brain's not like, oh, I'm sad, I'm happy. But like it'll just come down. It'll be somewhere else in my body. I think I'm still trying to gauge, but
Yeah.
I think it's worth the work if we remember to do it for our well-being in the long run. And it might evolve. I don't know. But I think it's an important point.
Yeah. Something that gets your endorphins going, it sounds like.
That's all I had to say. Except for it gets mine.
No. I love the way that you put it, but it's also, yeah, it's just like what you were saying, like, yeah, when your endorphins get going and yeah. Good feeling, good vibes radiating out. I believe in frequencies, and people are sending out like, their energies and their frequencies, and some people are vibrating at a higher frequency.
Yeah. And no, I don't know about everybody, because some people are super evolved, but like everyone's not going to feel good energy all the time. And like, I think it's good to give people grace and forgiveness. I know people give it to me when I radiate some negative energy, some bad energy, and I have, because we're human. I think it's like, not to go on like a rant, but it's like this thing where we always have to be positive. And I think that's just it's not for the average person very realistic.
Yeah.
So anyway, nobody asked me for all that.
I guess just going off of that though, because Lydia, you do have like a very positive outlook on things. Like how do you maintain that? Is there something that you do like daily, or like how do you keep it going? Because I know that especially with our job, there's been times where it's very hard to be positive in those moments. So
and yeah, our job especially has challenged me, that's for sure. But I think that honestly, being within all of the fields and the work that I've done, being able to see people at really low lows, or that are disadvantaged, or that have a really like disadvantaged, cards that they've been dealt in life. And like, you never want to compare your life, or like comparison is the devil, or like of happiness or something, or like what is that?
Comparison is the thief of joy.
The thief of happiness, or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, so you never want to like compare, but I think that, and seeing other people's lives has really always reminded me of like what I have and how lucky I am, and just things like that. And so it's all about perspective. And I think that I have, just from the jobs that I've had, the experiences that I have coming from my own family, the things that I've seen, it's so given me a lot of insight and perspective into how badly things can be, but in saying that, you have to, again, give yourself grace, because it's like, just because things could be worse for someone else doesn't mean that the things I'm going through aren't valid for me, or I don't have a right to have these feelings or whatever. But I do, acknowledge that there are people that have it so much worse than me. And so that's really, having just an attitude of gratitude is how I really try to live my life. And recognizing that, things might be bad, but you still have so many things to be grateful for and so many things to be happy about. And so I think just, whether when you wake up, when you go to sleep, just thinking about one thing that you are really grateful for, or that you happened to you that day, or something that you're happy that happened, an experience that happened that you're positive about. So that's something that really helps me to continue to, even within the bad times, and there's a lot, even within work, it's like, oh, was there anything good that happened today? Or like anything that I feel positively about? But sometimes it's like, not related to work or something, my plants, like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that my plants are sprouting. Like, that's really exciting for me today. And even within you're so far from home, you're homesick, work sucked today, your plants are sprouting. So why don't you just be grateful about that and have a little bit of happiness and joy about that? So you just have to look on the bright side about something, and smile about something, because the world can be really dark, and you need to remind yourself of the little bits of light that shine in.
Yeah, love it.
Me too. Do you have any other questions, Iman?
You asked it earlier, but I don't know if we got a response. When are you the happiest?
Oh, when am I happiest?
At the mall? No, sorry.
I feel like that's probably happy.
When I'm like just like dancing around, I think that especially lately, I have my own personal dance parties. And so that is definitely a time where I realize that even within myself, like I'm by myself, I'm just dancing by myself, and I'm like catching myself like, dang girl, you are getting it right now. You are so happy. You are in the zone right now. And so I think that just even lately, when there's not that much to be happy about, that's something that's made me feel happy. And even just dancing with friends, going to parties, going out dancing. I loved in Cuba, when I went to Cuba, people are dancing in the streets, and just like there's so much music and culture and stuff. I love that vibe and everything. So I think that definitely when I'm dancing stuff, having a good time, that's when I'm feeling happy. Even when I'm by myself, trying to keep things upbeat and very much my personality. So yeah. There's like a saying, like you can't choose the music life throws at you, but you can choose how you dance to it. And so I think that's very like reflective of right now, is like we can't, this is so outside of our control, but like how you respond to things and how you choose to dance to it in life is so important.
So true. I love that. I haven't heard that saying, but I like it.
Right, this is the first time I've heard it. Maleta, what's the last song you were getting jiggy with? Okay, I'm not that old.
Oh, yeah.
What's the last song you had a dance party?
Oh my gosh. Just before we started, I still listen to the radio in New York through like iHeartRadio and all like my apps and stuff. And then they're doing a 24 hours of Drake, because he just
dropped that album.
It's like all Drake all day. So and it was like the old stuff, the new stuff, party Drake, real rap Drake, mixtape Drake. So I was just, and Drake is like my super poppy. He's like my baby daddy. So Drake, love you, certified lover boy. Everybody stream it. And then tomorrow's Beyonce's birthday, or today in Australia, but tomorrow in America is Beyonce's birthday. And so Beyonce and Drake are like my top two. So what weekend for music this will be, I will be dancing all weekend.
I'm a huge Beyonce fan too. She gets me like, I feel like I had to write a happy list for days when I'm like, if I'm down or whatever, because I forget when those moments when I'm down, I'm like, wait a minute, what makes me happy? Beyonce? Oh, okay. But I'll forget. But I put her song on and I'm like, get information. Like, I'm just like, lock it up, Suzanne. And I love it. I love it. So, but yeah, no, I'm glad you shared that tidbit of like what music got you like excited. Iman has those dance parties too, and I have those.
Yeah,
They're
they're so fun.
Yeah, why
Yes.
No
not?
judgment, you just do what you do.
Yeah.
get a little sweaty, get pumped. I mean, I get sweaty. It's gross.
I'm in the shower too.
That's
My
hard.
dance parties in the shower are just intense, and so that's a big. I'm always
It's too hot in the shower. Like
really. I
can't-
do my
can't shower
dance.
without listening to music, and it's always a dance party.
Really?
It's a twerk party. Yes, girls twerking in the shower all the time.
Yeah.
Any parting words of wisdom that you want to share with the listeners?
Let's see.
Some advice.
Everyone, I think no matter, especially when we're in like an international zone, we're in like a new space and everything, and it's very diverse, people from all over. And what I always try to remember is that we may not all speak the same language, but a smile is universal. And if you just kind of like smile at someone and have like a happier face, they're gonna already feel like some warmth, some good energy from you, rather than if you're like frowning or, you know, resting bitch face, whatever. And so just trying to remember to smile, just so difficult when you're wearing a mask all the time and everything, and like try to smile if you can with your eye. You can still smile, and people, I feel like people can, I'm always like smiling under my mask like a dumbass, like people can't see me, but I'm like smiling at people. But I think that people can, it still like radiates a good energy out and everything. And I think that if we just remember to smile at people, sometimes, you know, that makes people's day.
Yeah. Look, wait, am I smiling? Yes.
Yeah.
Look at you.
You can tell. You can tell.
It's like,
And
and
then
sometimes I'm like using the mask as a cover to show that I'm laughing, or like, you know, when I'm like laughing at something, but I'm like, oh my God, they can probably tell I'm laughing.
My biggest problem with the mask is I talk to myself under it. But it's like, Selena, they can still hear you. I'm like, what is this? Okay.
They're not soundproof.
I need, like, mask messed me up, but can you tell I got an attitude?
See, it's here too. Like if you're frowning and everything, people are gonna, yeah. When you're teaching little kids to like identify like who's an angry face, who's a happy face, like it's, you know, the angry eyes and everything and stuff. But if you really like, smiling at people, having good energy, it goes a long way.
This went so fast. I feel like.
Oh my gosh. We're already done.
I can't believe time's up. Dang it.
You have enough content, I feel like.
Yes, it's amazing. Any other questions?
I couldn't hear you, Maleta. I'm sorry.
I was saying you guys are the best.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you.
I'm such a fan. How honored am I to be on U Plus Happy? This is so cool.
We're honored. I am. I'm so glad I got to meet you, even if it's just through Zoom.
I'm impressed with the dedication you guys have to, like, you have, it's so much, and you guys are so dedicated to it and put so much into it, and also like the whole purpose of it is to like radiate good energy and happiness and positivity. So I am so in support of that message.
Thank you. I hope you felt good here.
And then also on the 9th is when the show is released. So it'll be a big week of releases. I'm so excited.
What show? What?
I'm on like a show called Frogger on Peacock, and it's like a game show, obstacle course type of show that I filmed while I was here in Australia. So it's streaming on Peacock starting on the 9th. So you have to watch and you have to cheer for me, girl.
We're leaving that part in. Okay. We got Peacock everywhere now. Hey.
Girl.
Well, I don't know if they have the same things on Peacock everywhere.
Except for Australia, we're having to figure out how we can get it here. But I'm sure where there's a will, there's a way. A leap of faith. We're gonna figure it out.
I'm gonna send y'all some DVDs.
Oh my God,
VHS. I'm gonna try to record it on VHS.
Do those still exist?
Wait, my friend told me his grandmother was cleaning up and gave him Waiting to Exhale on VHS.
Oh yes.
He was like, Grandma,
that is worth big dollars now, probably.
It's just like, what? Where? How? You can't play it. All right. Anyway, but yeah, no. What's the name of the show again on Peacock?
Called Frogger. Do you know the game, the arcade game Frogger? where you like try to get across the like freeway or across the logs and get your frogs to safety. It's like an old 80s game. And so
I hadn't heard of it before you told me about it either.
It's like a, what was it, like a game, arcade game that we're like Pac-Man, like one of those kind of games. Like they have it there. And then it was like a computer game and everything, but huge in the 80s. And then they made it a real life, people-sized game show. And
can't wait to watch it.
Another thing that was so outside my comfort zone and took a leap of faith and had such a good experience.
Took some leaps literally. Because it's Frogger.
Girl, look at you. Put you on production.
Sorry, I was being ridiculous. I had a Red Bull before this recording and it shows. All right.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Sure, we're gonna close out. And again, thank you, Maleta, for sharing your time with us and inspiring our listeners to redefine success for themselves.
And thank you, listeners. We could not do this without you. Remember to hit like, comment, and share this episode. Please leave a review. We always want to hear your feedback. Remember, you can subscribe at You Plus Happy Podcast. We're also available on YouTube, and you can follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy.
We'll see you next week, same time, same place. And we ask our guest, Maleta, to say our tagline, which is, it's long, we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Hey. Remember to check out Maleta on Froggers on Peacock. Hey.
Hey. Yes. Thank you so much, guys.